So I'm not getting a costume. I'm going to be working this this Halloween, and I prefer it that way. I'd rather not deal with kids. So trying to get into the spirit of watching of the season, you know, want to watch some horror movies. I found that like the Friday the 13th movies are up on YouTube for free. But they're all edited for time and content. So they're all like 90 minutes, and like most of the best stuff is cut out. When I say best stuff, I mean like great kills and naked women, which is like kind of the best parts of the movie. So in many ways, you know, I watched the first 4 Friday the 13th movies over the last weekend. Excuse me. And this is not going to be a movie review, but we're going to throw some stars up anyway, because I'm talking about the first 4 movies, or the franchise in general. And it's hard to like if I tried to explain the plot of this, you would think I was insane. It's like, yeah, there's this kid that drowned in a lake, all right, and his mom was pissed off. And the mom was pissed off so much that whenever, you know, any kind of teenagers came up to the lake, you know, she'd just start murdering them. Why'd she murder them? Because the 2 camp counselors that were supposed to be watching her son Jason at the lake were making love at the time that that he drowned. And so she gets really mad when she sees teenagers having sex, and so she tries to murder them. Unfortunately, she gets killed at the end of that first movie. And then in the next movie, or she gets killed at the end of that movie, and then all of a sudden the boy jumps up out of the lake, still alive. So apparently, I don't know, he's been living at the bottom of the lake. I don't know. Did he make some sort of agreement with some sort of amphibian god? I don't know. What's at the bottom of the lake? We should investigate it. We should get some scuba divers down there. See if there's some sort of great amphibian god. After all, in the next movie, he's walking on land. I'm guessing he's out of the tadpole area, and now he can walk on land. And now this Jason guy is going around murdering everybody. All right. And then finally they beat Jason, and then all of a sudden his mom pops up out of the water. Apparently she made a deal with the amphibian god at the bottom of the Crystal Lake. All right. She's got like, yeah, and she's got worms coming out of her and stuff. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? EK, you've never seen these movies, right? So don't I sound like a crazy person telling this? That sounds like an Aquaman movie. All right. But in like the third movie, the mom's gone, and like is Jason back walking around again? You know, I guess his mom had to go back and do like the tadpole thing again, you know, because some amphibians, like their life cycle is really weird. They'll go back anyway. So like, I guess they're amphibians, cursed or blessed by have a boon from a amphibian god at the bottom of Crystal Lake. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell is happening in these movies. And it's because they're cut so short. They're all like 90 minutes each on YouTube for free. And it's almost like a Cliff Notes version of them. So I was able to just like sit down, like watch 2 one day and then another 2 the next day. And I was like, ugh, what is going on with these movies? However, there's also some good things about them too. It's like what I like to call perv cam, right? Is something that was kind of introduced in the Friday the 13th things, where it's like you're peering around a corner, like the Jason perspective. You're watching a girl change her clothes, slip out of her panties, and he's just like peeking around a corner. That's kind of like perv cam. And I guess a lot of kids back in the 80s like that, because I don't know, peeping toms, it's not exactly a unrealistic thing. All right, and so and also you had the good formula of like the beauty of nature. You see a bunch of happy young kids, like a bunch of hot chicks in bikinis in the water, splashy, splashy, splashy. You're just like, man, isn't life beautiful? Isn't humanity beautiful? And like, look how beautiful this naked woman is. She's going out for a midnight swim in the lake. I hope nobody comes around and murders her and ruins my whole mood. Oh! And it was funny, as I watch these movies, it's like, oh, that chick's the hottest. I bet she's going to die first. And yeah, every single time. And so they found this formula where it's like, I don't know, it's been repeated and like copied ever since. And I don't know if there's I guess maybe like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a little like that. But I mean, it's kind of a formula that's been rehashed over and over again. And if you know how many Friday the 13th movies, because I mean, I couldn't sit here and I was like, I'm going to sit here. I watched the whole franchise like I have that much time on my hands. No, I watched up to the final chapter, assuming it'd be over after that. But no, it wasn't. You know, and I think the biggest thing about these movies, because a lot of people say like horror movies had a big renaissance in the late 70s, early 80s, from like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all that. But a real big part of Friday the 13th success, I think, is the music, the soundtrack by Henry Manfredini. And I really think that without the soundtrack, this movie would not be as good as it. This franchise would not have gone as long as it has, because I bet even the later ones used those discordant strings. Like a how can I put that? Every time those discordant strings come on, I think of a blind orchestra with perfect timing. Or no, a deaf orchestra with perfect timing, so they can still visualize the tempo, but they can't hear anyway. And then there's always the classic which was adding like a human tone to it that adds like a more fear. And it was brilliant. It was really good music. I really don't think the series would have because you can sit there, is he talking about the show? It's like, no, I'm talking about the movies, because there was so much media created upon this. It was such a thing in the 80s. There was comic books. There was it was everywhere. People loved it, and like they even make a reference to it, I think, in 3 and 4, like with like Fangora magazine, because in those kind of magazines, like after Friday the 13th came out, all of them, it's like those Fangoria magazines, they're just chock full of Friday the 13th type stuff. Like how they made the Jason mask and shit like that. It was a cultural phenomenon in many ways. And now we're sick of it. A dozen movies? Really? How many times can you kill Jason? How many times has his mom popped up ever since the second one? I don't know. I'm looking at Eric like he knows. He doesn't like this kind of stuff. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm cynical and I could deal with it. It's like, I know those people aren't really being murdered. And I'm just like, what kind of strange amphibian god is living at the bottom of a crystal lake that's granting wishes to these evil, evil people, to retarded boys and their dire mothers? God, I'm horrible. I did the warning at the beginning, right? I always do. Anyway, so if I had to give like star rating to the first 4 of these movies, I'd have to say it's like 5 of 13 stars. But this isn't really a review, Anyway, I wasted my time. Now I wasted yours.